They're on their feet and ready to go here at the Coliseum. Temperature around 34. It'll drop into the high 20s before the game ends. Let's go down to Bonnie Bernstein.
Well, Bill Cowher's Steelers defense has some injury at key positions. Dick, Kendrell Bell, linebacker with the ankle. Chad Scott, a cornerback with a hand. How ready are each of those two players?
Well, you know what? Right now, they're hurting. I mean, Kendrell's on one leg, Chad's got one arm, but right now this team's got a lot of heart. We're going to take this thing and see how far it takes us today.
Coach, thanks.
Thanks.
Bill Cowher in his 11th season with the Steelers, the longest active coach in tenure for one team. This is the 4th time they've met in the postseason, and the Steelers won the first 3. 2 of those go back to the late 70s when Pittsburgh, that Steel Curtain team, went on to win 2 of their 4 Super Bowl championships under Chuck Noll. Joe Nedney to kick it off to Antoine Randall or Lee Mays of the Steelers. And this divisional playoff game underway. Nedney's kicked down to the 5. The rookie Mays to the 20. Running like Willie Mays out to the 35, the 37-yard line. And tackled there by the kicker, Joe Nedney. It's Amos Zaraway, the running back, who starts, and he kicks his way to the outside and close to a first down at the 50-yard line. First down at the 50-yard line for the Steelers. Fake to Zaraway. Maddox all day to throw. Intercepted. Picked off by Samari Roll. And Roll returns to the 48. And do they love that in Tennessee?
Now you can see that Plexico Burress is the intended receiver. And Burress, when he goes to make his cut, falls down. Now, did he get his legs tangled up? No, he just slipped. Plexico Burress, the 6'5" receiver, just had his right foot slide out from under him. And Samari Roll just has to make sure he doesn't drop the ball, because there's nothing to keep him from catching it.
A huge early break for Tennessee. The Titans on Roll's interception. He had 2 in the regular season. 36 turnovers, the most of any playoff teams, but 10 of those came in the first 2 games for Pittsburgh. Here's Derek Mason on a little swing, and he has a first down at the Steeler 36-yard line. First down. Quick throw, complete. Wycheck, the tight end, close to the 25, and nearly another first down. James Ferrier, the tackler. Second, it is a first down at the 25, and here's Eddie George skipping his way for 5 to the 20, and everything working early, Dan, for the Titan offense.
Well, talk about being energized. Nothing like a turnover on the first possession, especially at home. It gets the crowd, like they weren't into it to begin with, but it gets them to a whole new level. But Eddie George is going to get his carries today, regardless of whether or not the Steelers are the #1 ranked defense in the league against the run. This is Tennessee. They will run the football even if they're not having a lot of success with it. They'll still hammer George.
And here he comes. Finds a hole. Look at him run over the safety, and a first down at the 11-yard line.
Well, Lee Flowers will now be looking at Eddie George a little differently. And you know, a lot of people think that if you smack Eddie George in the mouth early in the game, maybe he'll slow down. Well, my question, who was the smacker and who was the smackee right there?
Oh, Eddie George, he just gave him that look, Flowers, as he went back to the huddle. Yeah, I'll be back. What a hit.
Well, and how hard is it for Eddie George at 6'3" to get his pad level down there where he can deliver that blow?
First down at the 11. Drew Bennett, the wide receiver, in motion. It's George again, and not much in the center of that Steeler defense, maybe a couple. Robert Holcomb is in the game for George, and he's split out as a wide receiver on 2nd and 8. The throw incomplete. Close to a touchdown as it went through the arms of Frank Wycheck. James Ferrier, the linebacker, covering.
And it was good coverage by Ferrier. It's no secret that Frank Wycheck is going to be the target here for Steve McNair. And Ferrier to the inside, even though he never saw the football, was still close enough that Steve had to put it right on the hands. He did. That should have been a Tennessee touchdown. Ooh. You don't get that many opportunities to have a well-thrown ball right on the palms of your hand.
Yeah, McNair and Fisher had the 6 on the scoreboard. Quarterback draw, and it's a touchdown for Steve McNair.
Well, in talking to Steve McNair, we talked about other running quarterbacks. Before Donovan McNabb, before Michael McVick, there was Steve McNair. And the guy can run, and he's run for over 3,000 yards in his NFL career, and he was doing it when those other guys were still in college.
Steelers had not allowed a TD on the opening drive in the regular season. Tennessee Titans with Samari roll, picking off a Tommy Maddox pass. Go 52 yards in 7 plays. Took him a little over 3 minutes, and Steve McNair caps it with that 8-yard quarterback run. And now Netney and the Titans tee it up. Tommy Maddox waiting to make amends, which he, of course, has done throughout this year. Randall L. and Mays are deep, 2 rookies. There's Randall L. from Indiana, and Mays played his college ball at Texas El Paso. The left footer Netney. Not much wind here today. Fairly good carry, though. It's into the end zone to Mays. 10, 20, and out across the 25-yard line before corralled by a trio of Titans. Steelers ball, 28-yard line, and Maddox enters the huddle.
And Dick, the point here for Tommy Maddox is that interception wasn't his fault. He has to throw the ball while his receiver's making that cut. Burris slips and falls down. Tommy Maddox, I'm sure that thing, he's already chucked it on the old wood pile and forget it.
3 wide receivers. That's Randall L. in motion from the slot. Maddox comes back firing and completing to Randall L. And a first down at the Tennessee 43. Randall Godfrey, the middle linebacker, tailed him down.
There's no question the Pittsburgh Steelers have a lot of confidence in this passing game, and why not? We just see Randall L., the guy that can do everything. Returns, running patterns, and if they needed to, I'll guarantee you the kid that got over 11,000 yards in total offense at Indiana could play a pretty good game of quarterback too.
What a second-round draft pick. Zeroaway trapped in the backfield and can't get to the line of scrimmage. Loses 3. Back to the 45. Carlos Hall, a 7th-round pick. He was 20 picks from the end of the draft out of Arkansas and contributes 8 sacks this year and a forced fumble. What a delicious selection that was.
And what a defensive line the Titans have. They have youth, they have depth, they've got experience in guys like Kevin Carter, and what they really have is talent. This might be the deepest defensive line in the league.
On 2nd and 13, Maddox down the middle, incomplete. It was intended for Hines Ward, and Keith Bullock leaping in front of that pattern to deflect it away.
Now, this is Keith Bullock's first year as a full-time starter, and everybody with the Tennessee organization will tell you that he deserved to be a Pro Bowl football player. He's their leading tackler, and he does it all. Wonderful range, very physical at the line of scrimmage, and a real heady player. This kid is going to be good for a long time, Dick.
Well, he was the one guy everyone felt should have made it. And Javon Curse enters the game for the first time. Lines up on the defensive left side of the line. On 3rd and 13. Good protection for Maddox. Then he has to swing it incomplete to Fuamatu Mafala in the flat, and he was covered well.
And Tommy Maddox, that was really just a throwaway. And Bill Cowher telling us that, especially it was personified in the game that they played here earlier, that Tommy can get greedy. He can, you know, he's not afraid to take a chance and he'll force the football. And Bill saying, Tom, look, punting the football is not the end of the world. We have a wonderful defense. Rely on them.
Let him go.
And there's the punt by the veteran Tom Ruin. Derek Mason lets it bounce. It takes a Tennessee hop to the 24. Titans are 8-1 this year when they score first in a game. 9:20 left in this opening quarter, and Steve McNair and the offense ready to go back to work.
And a very unusual thing this week. Steve McNair was not listed on the Titans injury report.
That's right. He's had a red cross on his jersey all season. It's amazing. He didn't practice all of December, but he played.
He should have been playing for Switzerland.
That's right. Little play action, and McNair wide open is Aaron Kinney, the tight end. And Kinney's out across the 40 to the 43 before Lee Flowers can bump him out of bounds.
Well, people sometimes through design, because they want to throw the football, it's what they do best. Sometimes out of really just an admission that they can't run against the Pittsburgh Steelers, have filled the air with footballs against Pittsburgh. And I think we're seeing the Tennessee so far has a pretty nice balance. Eddie George has been getting a few carries, but Steve McNair will not be afraid to throw. In fact, he'll want to throw it a lot against his D.
And he's back to throw again. In trouble. And down he goes. The first sack of the game goes to Kimo von Oelhoffen, the veteran from Boise State, who had 3 in the regular year.
Steve McNair initially has a lot of time to look downfield. He's got a pretty decent pocket form, but he just can't find anybody. But first of all, Aaron Smith got in there, and then von Oelhoffen was able to get in and clean it up. But that's the kind of pressure you like to get out of a 3-man front.
You see the Steelers 3rd in the league in sacks with 50, and the only team they did not sack in the regular season was Tennessee, but they get one early today. Testimony to that offensive line in front of Steve McNair and Eddie George. It's George. That's back and right into the arms of the Steeler defense led by Michigan rookie Larry Foote. Foote seeing more duty with Kendrell Bell's ankle injury, and we'd better check to see if Bell is really able to go today. We haven't called his name yet.
Well, we saw a good example there of the chaos that Pittsburgh comes with on running downs as well. They run blitz, they cross people, they get penetration. That forces the running back to go in a direction he didn't want to go, and then they have such team speed, they clean it up so well.
3rd down 16 for McNair. Underneath, complete to Drew Bennett. He's got speed and heads to the sidelines, gets the first down at the 45. Chris Hope, Florida State rookie, gets him out of bounds.
Boy, there's a good job of Steve McNair coming off a primary receiver, working his way through the progressions and then finding the open guy.
19-yard stand. They needed 16 for the first.
He was going downfield. He wanted to hit a receiver going down on a seam pattern, and then has worked his way over to Bennett. It's all working right now for the Tennessee offense.
Fake to George. McNair. Last second decision to go to Aaron Kinney as tight end. Incomplete. For a moment it appeared he wanted to tuck it and go. B squared, what do you have for us?
Well, Dick, Steve McNair did not love missing those last 5 weeks of practice of the regular season. He felt himself getting rusty and out of sync, but he said there was one positive thing. He said, I really sat back and watched the movement of my receivers, watched them cut and get in and out of their routes, and that really helped me understand their body movement better. And he particularly mentioned that with Justin McCarron, who's really just starting to come along in this offense, so we'll see if that's a factor today.
Justin McCarron's Eddie Berlin, some of the young receivers, seeing more duty with the injury to Kevin Dyson. A couple of yards for George on 2nd down. Jason Gilden there with a hit. McNair on 3rd down, complete. Bennett again, and it's a first down as he dives inside the 35. Here's a guy, Drew Bennett, out of UCLA, went there as a quarterback in high school. Bennett played quarterback in front of Ken Dorsey, the University of Miami quarterback.
And working here against the Pittsburgh zone, he just runs a little trailing pattern and comes in and sits down behind, but it's the run after the catch. The Pittsburgh defense not able to keep Bennett from picking up 5 or 6 yards after he makes the reception.
And it appears that Zach Pillar, who has been sidelined with a calf injury, returning to the starting lineup, is down. 43rd consecutive sellout. There's Zach Pillar and the injury. Let's take a look, Dan.
Well, he took a blow to the head. Here's Pillar right here. Watch him get hit by Kimo von Oelhoffen right there. A forearm on the back of the head. That's a legal move by a defensive lineman trying to club the guy out of the way. He didn't mean to hit him on the head, but he took a forearm right at the base of his neck, at the back of his helmet. That'll catch your attention, and Tom Ackerman replaces him at left guard.
Ackerman from Eastern Washington has done a good job filling in for Pillar in the last couple of games. First down, Tennessee leading 7-0. Eddie George to the 30, and a gain of nearly 5 before Larry Foote playing for Kendrell Bell. And we still do not have a report on Bell and why he's not playing. Of course, he did have that high ankle sprain and played very well last week against Cleveland.
And there he is. And Bill Cowher was feeling really good about Kendrell's chances today. He's got an ankle sprain, but the pain is isolated in a very specific area. And when it's in a very specific area, you can deaden it with some type of an anesthetic. And they were very hopeful that they were, going to be able to do that today. But there's a problem. He is their best linebacker in many ways, and he should be on the field if he could.
There goes McNair, and he's hit, breaks a tackle, and has a first down at the 24. And there's the strength of the 230-pound quarterback and desire.
Well, when we met with Steve McNair a couple days ago, and I asked him, what do you think about when you hear all the praise being heaped on people like Donovan McNabb and Michael Vick? He got that smile on his face, and he said, when I was young, it was a flaw to be a running quarterback.
And that was an interesting comment.
There was, yeah, he said people perceived there was something wrong with my game as a quarterback, that I had to run the way that I ran. He said, interesting. Have times changed?
Yeah, in vogue now.
No kidding.
10th play of the drive. Underneath, complete again. Everything going, and another first down to wide check the tight end. Porter and Ferrier make the tackle, and without Bell in there and a rookie replacing him, and here he does make his first appearance now.
I know that the Steelers are proud of the fact that they have an offense now that can come from behind. I'm not sure that they want to have to continually demonstrate that.
From the 14-yard line, McNair and the Titans leading 7-0. First down toss to Eddie George. Plows his way to the 8-yard line, and there's Kendrell Bell.
And that's what he brings to a football game. Kendrell Bell has to hurdle a would-be blocker, flow, and then choose the exact moment to knife upfield. And boy, did he time it perfectly, bringing down Eddie George. Right, there he is, 97, right in the middle. There he has to go right over the top. But when do you go upfield? Right there is when you go upfield. Heads off Eddie George, and tell you the truth, Eddie George saw Bell coming and fell down.
Jason Gilden there made the ultimate tackle. Good gain on first down, however. Second down and 4. George tries the other side. They run him wide. He cuts back inside the 5. Dwayne Washington from the corner to force. And let's see where he stepped out of bounds. Shy of the 5-yard line, they mark it. Third down and a couple.
See, I think Tennessee will measure their success in the running game, not necessarily banging it out for 150 yards. That's not what Jeff Fisher needs from this ball club. If he gets 75 yards from Eddie George, I think they're going to be really pleased. Against this defense, Mike Heimerdinger, the offensive coordinator, they're going to be pleased. They don't care. They don't need a lot of flash. They want to keep the ball, and they want Tommy Maddox and Plexico Burris and Hines Ward to be spectators.
That's Eddie George way out to the left as McNair takes the snap and runs it like a fullback in the old single wing, and Kendrell Bell stops him right at the sticks. We'll see whether or not he picked up the first down or this is 4th and a foot.
Well, it sure looked from up here that he had the yardage. What kind of a spot does he get? Well, now looking at the spot, it's close. Very close. This is going to be made or missed by a matter of an inch or two.
Ron Blum signals first and goal.
Half a ball. Surprise, surprise. Steve McNair takes off with the football. And that was a good spot. That's exactly where he put it. And yeah, Jeff knows. What confidence he's got in that guy.
Talk about time possession. This long time consuming drive. 14th play. And the Titans arrive at the 4-yard line. George breaks a tackle. He's down to the 1. Flowers gets him to the turf. We ask Eddie George, you were a landscape engineer major at Ohio State. You ever use that? He said, all the time, every Sunday. I judge the sod.
Yeah. Yes, he comes out and, you know, is this a good fescue or is this a bluegrass or whatever? Yeah, he's.
You gave Jacksonville the top grade.
You better be careful there, Dick. Go get some letters from Columbus now. Oh,
well, doesn't mean he isn't well educated.
Kendrell Bell limps off, and this is not good for the Steelers if that's going to be a continual problem during the afternoon.
Second and goal. George head stopped short, but continued to churn forward and is to about the 1-foot line as Kimo von Oelhoffen led the submarining charge of the Steelers.
Oh, and von Oelhoffen had Eddie George wrapped up, and Eddie George powered out of the grasp of von Oelhoffen. Von Oelhoffen, 67. Right there, he's got Eddie George by the thigh, got him by the leg, and Eddie pulls out of it. And because he's not down on the ground yet, keeps on digging.
Brett Alexander, who played here in this city at Tennessee State, finally got him down. Third and goal. George again. Touchdown. How impressive a first quarter the Tennessee Titan offense.
And doesn't that say it all, that look we just saw in the face of Dwayne Washington? A combination of exasperation and exhaustion.
76-yard drive in 16 plays. They were 4 of 4 on third down.
And was that Tennessee Titan offensive football? We did not see a run that looked anything like Barry Sanders. All we saw was power, power, and a little more power.
Nedney adds the extra point, and with just seconds left in this opening quarter, the Titans impressively at 14-0.
Well, this is good blocking on the left side of the offensive line. Gennaro DiNapoli, the center, gets a good block. So does Ackerman. So does all the guys over on the left side. Big Brad Hopkins, the left tackle. And when Eddie George, you could see when he made that cut, he knew he was just going to glide in.
We mentioned
here comes Eddie, Dick, right at us.
And there's a feeling that George, because of his stature, 6'3", perhaps the tallest running back in the league, there's so much to hit that when you get to him, you get him down early. That has not been the case at all today.
No. I also want to throw some kudos to Frank Wycheck and Aaron Kinney. Double tight end formation on that side, and they got their blocks as well. 9
minutes consumed in that drive. At the end of the regular season, each of these two teams had the ball exactly 32 minutes and 47 seconds in a game on the average. That was best in the league. Thus far, the Steelers in the quarter have had the ball only 1 minute and 41 seconds.
And obviously we've got so much football to play, but this Steeler offense needs to keep the ball for a while. Their defense is on the ropes.
Nedney's kick is short, and it's Antoine Randall. He can scoot. 66 yards for a touchdown against Cleveland, and he gets it all the way out to the 40-yard line on his first return before Rocky Boyman can make the stop.
Well, the people's choice in this town are the Titans. Being in Nashville the last couple days, Dick, reminds me of Green Bay. This town is head over heels.
Zaraway caught in the backfield by Randall Godfrey, and that's how the first quarter will come to an end. Offensively and defensively, a Titan 15 minutes. We open the second quarter. Dick Enberg with Dan Deerdorf and Bonnie Bernstein. Mike Arnold, our director. Lance Barrow, our producer here in Nashville. And look at the time of possession as Tennessee dominates that opening quarter.
And 23 of Tennessee's plays, 11 of those were runs by Eddie George for 36 yards.
Zaraway lost 5 on first down, so 2nd and 15, and Zaraway back on the draw as Tennessee looking pass, and Zaraway picks up 8 on the draw before Keith Bullock can drag him down.
Amos Zaraway is the man now for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Jerome Bettis is healthy, but Bill Cowher wants the explosiveness that Amos Zaraway brings to the lineup. He can turn what might be a 10-yard run from Bettis into a 15, 20, or even longer run with his kind of quickness. The bus, and we're looking at Jerome, has been a warrior for a long time, and he may get some carries today, but he's not going to be a big factor.
3rd down and 7, flag down. The throw is complete to Randall L, and it's a first down if.
Well, Kevin Carter was certainly across the line of scrimmage. Whether he was induced or not, I'm not sure, but he was well across at the snap of the ball.
Offside, number 93 defense. Penalties decline. Result of the play is a first down.
Ron Blum, a professional golfer, which reminds us of CBS golf coverage is tuning up, and they'll be in Phoenix next week. First down at the 48. Steelers need something positive here offensively. Hines Ward yet to catch a pass. He was in motion, and here he comes in the backfield, and they got it. Back at the 41. Javon Curse in to make the play. And then Henry Ford and John Thornton to finish him off.
How could things be going any better than they're going for the Tennessee Titans? Hines Ward. Now, we know Hines Ward is a guy who's so versatile in running the football. And Javon Curse, I think Pittsburgh was counting on Curse not to honor his responsibilities. And guess what? The kid is not just a guy that just goes all out for the quarterback and forgets everything else.
A 10-yard loss. Maddox underneath, short gain to Dan Kreider, the fullback from the University of New Hampshire, and Randall Godfrey and Keith Bullock with a stop at the 47.
And we've got our first little pushing and shoving going on down there. Randall Godfrey not the least bit happy about what happened. Somebody hit him late.
Maddox shotgun. They pick up the blitz. Maddox goes deep downfield. Complete. Plexico Burris, the rangy 6'5" target, pulls down a first down pass at the 30-yard line.
Well, Dick, you said pick up the blitz. No kidding. What a job up front by the Steelers, and big man gets downfield, and I'm sure a whole lot more aware about keeping his footing. That was a cautious cut by Plexico Burris there. And as a quarterback, I don't know how much better it gets than having a target as big as Burris. Can't be around the guy without being struck as to how huge the guy is.
Jeremy Tillman, the tight end, in motion. The screen to the flanker left. Hines Ward flagged down as Ward moves inside the 25-yard line, but this one's coming back. Bill Cowher and his counterpart Jeff Fisher, so much alike.
Holding. 64 offense. 10 yards. Repeat first down.
Cowher is a year older at 45 than Fisher. They both played 5 years in the league, more or less special teams guys. Cowher linebacker, a special teams madman in his day, and Fisher was a kick returner, defensive back, and Cowher actually sent Fisher into the coaching ranks.
They really did. Jeff suffered a broken leg in a game where the Bears were playing the Eagles. I don't think it's Jeff's favorite topic.
Cowher doesn't mind talking about it.
No.
Well, movement before the snap.
Big Wayne Gandy, the left tackle. And that's the problem with being on the road.
False start. 72 offense. 5 yards.
Well, that's going to make a first down and 25 back at the 45. Maddox has to throw it into an oncoming lineman, Albert Hainsworth, the rookie from Tennessee. Well, that's a good target. He's 6'6" and about 340.
Yeah, a little argument that even though Tommy Maddox may have been outside the quarterback box, he didn't get the ball back to the line of scrimmage. This ball bounces about 5 or 6 yards short of the line of scrimmage.
Zarraway was close.
And there was a question as to whether he even got outside the tackle box, to tell you the truth.
2nd and 25. 3 wides and Zarraway. Maddox incomplete. He had Burris crossing at the 25 in front of Samari Roll.
Well, Tommy can't have a guy in better position to make the catch than Plexico Burris was right there. The ball hits him on the hands. Yes, it was catchable. It would have been an outstanding catch by Burris. It could have been a couple feet closer to him. I think it would have been a sure thing.
4 wide. 3rd and 25. Here comes Curse. That flushes Maddox. He has to go short, and not much there at all.
When you can come with 3 people, drop 8, and force the other team into just dumping it off, that's exactly what you're looking for. No way the guy's going to run for a first down against 8 people. I don't care if it's Antoine Randall or not. He's not going to work his way through 8 Tennessee players to pick up a first down.
So that holding penalty followed by a false start moved the Steelers back. They're unable to recover and now have to punt the ball. Ruin's first kick was not a good one. Derek Mason, his longest of the year was against the Steelers, only 21 yards. He lets it go, and a beautiful kick. It's a college audience here. The enthusiasm of these Tennessee fans have plenty to cheer about early. 14-0, and the Titans 2 possessions, 2 touchdowns, start deep this time at their 8-yard line. McNair, and a fumble's out. A scramble, and it appears the Steelers have it at the 9-yard line. Lee Flowers was around the ball, and as they get up, it is Flowers who covered it for Pittsburgh, and that's exactly what Bill Cowher's team needed.
If you're Pittsburgh, you couldn't even dream about anything better than this. Eddie George takes the handoff and bumps into his own guy. He runs right into the back of Ackerman, and the ball comes loose. He runs right into the back of his left guard, Ackerman, and he didn't have the ball put away enough, and it comes loose. And the only people close are the Steelers, and Lee Flowers just gobbles it up.
Casey Hampton surged defensively, pushing Ackerman back into the ball carrier. Here's the bus out of the garage, but unable to get that motor into high gear. No gain. Jerome Bettis, what a great player he's been. He's currently the number 10 rusher in NFL history. 11,542 yards. Only 666 this year. That's subpar for Bettis. Now in his 10th season out of Notre Dame. Maddox to the end zone. Touchdown, Hines Ward. Ward, who was the number 2 pass catcher in the league this year with 112, and a dozen of those touchdowns, finds the end zone quickly for the Steelers.
The perfect tonic for Pittsburgh. Their offense kept the ball for 9 plays, gave their defense a little rest. The first time the defense gets on the field, they force a turnover, and their offense capitalizes on it. And all of a sudden, the Steelers, who had 1 foot in the grave, all of a sudden are back with it.
And the kick is the rookie from North Carolina, Jeff Reed, a midseason pickup, and he was absolutely brilliant. 17 for 19 field goals, and he hits it directly after the fumble at the 8. 2 plays later, Maddox to Hines Ward, and it's a 14-7 game. Reed's kick to the goal line, and Eddie Berlin skids down across the 15-yard line at the 17, where he is covered quickly.
Titans with a 14-7 lead over the Steelers. Couple injury reports. Left guard Zach Pillar questionable, re-aggravated his calf for the Titans. We'll see whether he comes back. They're going to reevaluate him after the half. Questionable also is Pittsburgh linebacker Kendrell Bell, and quite frankly, I'm surprised Cowher had him go after watching him work out before the game. That pain-killing shot not as effective as it was last week against Cleveland, and he too is questionable.
And looks mighty disheartened, Bonnie. Thank you for that report. Starting from the 17 is McNair. Oh, almost intercepted and incomplete. Oh my, was that close to another 7, or are they calling it a catch? Jason Gilden had his hands on it. Drew Bennett was fighting for it.
And then Bennett may have come down with the football. Where's one, Karam? There's Bennett, and he does. Bennett catches the football.
So close to disaster, and it winds up being a gain. Short.
It looked like Chad Scott really was the guy that had the angle on the football after it was touched, and somehow Bennett drags it out of there.
Of course, Scott playing with that cast on his broken right hand, and it looked as if right tackle Fred Miller pulled back early. Miller, the former St. Louis Ram. False start called on him. Trouble with the
Ron Blum's microphone isn't working very well.
Eddie George eyeing that defense, and it's McNair going deep for Derek Mason, and it is intercepted by Chad Scott. Scott down by contact at the 40. And now the momentum, how quickly it has swung to Cowher's side of the field.
Well, it looks like Derek Mason separates himself and pulls away from Chad Scott, but this ball is underthrown by Steve McNair. As they pull abreast, there Mason pulls ahead, but you can see the ball is underthrown, and that's what allows Chad Scott to intercept it. If that ball's thrown a couple yards farther down the field, Dick, that could have been a big play for the Titans. Instead, the reverse.
Scott, such an important addition to that defensive secondary, which was really carved up by Kelly Holcomb in Cleveland last week. Now the toss for Burris, complete at the 20-yard line as Burris outfought Samari Roll for the catch.
He outfights double coverage. And when I saw Tommy Maddox release the football, I'm going, wow, this guy is a gambler that he's going to throw into double coverage. You got corner safety, Lance Schulters to the inside. Schulters doesn't get deep enough.
Hines Ward as he smacked hard on the tackle from Andre Dyson, the second-year corner from Utah. That was a 40-yard catch previously to Plexico Burris. Here's where size really pays off.
Well, and confidence, and look at it, Tommy Maddox realizes that he's got a receiver that has the talent of a Plexico Burris. Take a chance, and that was a chance that paid off.
Second down and a long 6. Bettis in the backfield behind Kreider, tries the middle. Able to get down to around the 12-yard line to bring up third down.
There is the owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Hall of Fame member Dan Rooney. Of course, his father Art, also a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And if there has been a model of consistency in the ownership ranks of the National Football League, exemplified by Dan Rooney.
70th year under the Rooney leadership. Dad started the franchise 1933. Third down and 3. Maddox, quick hitter, incomplete. Burris, the ball was thrown a little behind him, and Samari Roll with the coverage, and Burris holding his back as he rolls over.
That was just a bad throw by Tommy Maddox. He's got Burris for a touchdown if this is a well-thrown ball, but it's way back behind Plex.
In fact, Roll was already slipping down on the coverage. See, he was getting back up off a knee.
Yeah, he knows that's just, I had him and I just threw it behind him. And right now, how seriously is Plexico Burress hurt? He hit awfully hard.
So we'll take a break. 6:51 left in the second quarter.
Since I was a little kid, I've been dreaming of playing NFL. I'm a huge competitor. This is a dream come true for me.
See how the story unfolds. The 75th NFL Draft begins Thursday, April 22nd, live in primetime on NFL Network.
And on fourth down, we'll get you a report on Burress as soon as we hear one. This is Jeff Reed to try a 30-yard field goal. Young man they call Quadzilla because of his large thighs. He pounds this one. It is good. It just did sneak in that right upright. And it's 14-10.
You look at a lot of receivers, they don't have side pads to speak of, knee pads anymore. They look good, but a situation like this, he may have wanted to pad up a little more.
Kick is headed toward Eddie Berlin at the 5-yard line. Picks up the muff. And then pays for his mistake at the 17. You saw the yellow flag fly.
There's a flag on the return.
In that melee, we saw an early holding call, and it'll go against Tennessee. That'll back them up inside the 10-yard line.
And this first quarter, where the Titans fans here at the Coliseum were yucking it up with a 14-0 lead, that seems like a long time ago now, doesn't it?
Number 29 of the return team. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
And there goes Plexico Burress up into the Pittsburgh locker room. And that is just well, I don't say just a big loss. It's bigger than that for this Steeler passing game. Such an integral part of it.
McNair gives it to George, who is smacked in the backfield and doesn't gain a yard. Jason Gilden slashing in from that defensive left side. Second down. Well, George did pick up a yard. McNair has it batted in the air, incomplete. And it was fortunate the defensive lineman Casey Hampton and Von Oelhoffen had turned their back, didn't see where the ball was flopping. Larry Foote came through from a linebacker position.
Yeah, Foote coming in there from the left side, comes in. He's not a factor other than he had a good shot at McNair and didn't hit him. But Casey Hampton, the #1 draft choice of a couple of years ago, Foote, you don't get many free runs at a quarterback like that. You got to do more than just run by and behind him. He didn't even feel the breeze of you going by.
Third down and 9. And starting to feel a little desperate here as Robert Holcomb gives them hope. And Holcomb has a first down out to the 20-yard line. He's a good change of pace back. You've got George, who's a banger and a grinder, and then Holcomb, much quicker, 215 pounds.
Well, this a huge hole for Robert Holcomb on the right side. Freddie Miller and DiNapoli and Olsen, boy, do they do a superb job of clearing everybody out. And what a collision with Chris Hope. Helmet to helmet whack. And again, we see the power of these Tennessee running backs. They don't go backwards when they get hit like that.
6 for 6 on third down now for Tennessee. Here's George. And he's cut down after a gain of 1 as Flowers came up from a safety spot. Bonnie, what do you have for us?
All right, well, Plexico Burress, as you saw, went into the locker room. He has a left injury, and they're going to check him out in the locker room. Right now, he's questionable. His replacement will be Terrence Mathis-Dick, who only had 23 catches during the season, but remember, he was the all-time leading receiver for the Falcons. He's a veteran, and he should fill in well.
And one of the great pass receivers in the league through the years. Most of those catches at Atlanta after he was drafted by the Jets. Underneath, it's Frank Wycheck, the tight end, and he's across the 30. That'll be good for a first down, and Foote took the feet of Wycheck out of bounds.
When this game is over, you're just going to see on the play-by-play a couple of first downs for the Tennessee Titans. And I don't know what will happen the rest of this drive, but these 2 first downs keeping the Pittsburgh offense off the field, letting their defense kind of gather themselves a little bit. They'll go down as just 2 first downs, but Dick, they're bigger than that.
Absolutely, especially that third down run
Yes.
by Holcomb. They would have had to punt from their end zone. Underneath, complete again. Wycheck again to the 40 and a gain of 9. James Ferrier with a tackle. Wycheck now with 4 catches and about 40 yards on the game. Frank is just a dozen away from 500 receptions as a tight end. He'd be one of only 4 men in NFL history to play tight end to catch 500 balls. Second and 1. The throw to Mason. That was interesting. That was definitely a head and eye fake. It looked as if McNair threw that ball out of the corner of his eye.
Well, that was kind of the result, too, because the ball landed about 6 yards out of bounds. Let's look at it here. Steve's looking that way, and then this thing just took off and sailed out of his hands. Actually, the result of that pass was if he wasn't looking at all.
That was a weird reaction. Maybe he was turning his head opposite of the direction he was throwing.
Yeah, that's kind of the way it ended up.
Third and 1. Holcomb is in the backfield. McNair's going to run it. Flag down. And McNair tackled at the 42. That'll be a first down. Foot seeing unexpected full-time duty with the injury to Kendrell Bell made the play. The flag was thrown in the secondary. And it's against the Steelers. So a first down whether they take the run or the penalty.
Legal hands to the face. Number 20 defense. 5 yards. First down.
Dwayne Washington defending at the corner, got his hand up around the face of the receiver. Well, from the inside the 10-yard line, the Titans now out to the 42-yard line.
Pretty good left jab that time by Dwayne Washington as he just clips the face mask of Drew Bennett. That was the judges at ringside would have given him a point for that.
Contact. And then the judge on the far side of the ring took the point away. Yeah. Now the 5-yard penalty takes it from the 42 to the 47. Holcomb stays in the game in the backfield.
This is a sensational drive by Tennessee to this point. I hate to use the word sensational when they haven't crossed midfield yet, but it really is.
Holcomb showing that quick start is out to the 50-yard line, a pickup of 3. Flowers the tackler. 14-10. If you're just joining us, the Titans first 2 possessions very impressively. Just non-stop scores, 14-0, but 2 turnovers have led to the Steeler 10-point comeback here in the second quarter. McNair in trouble. Gets it away and completes to Wycheck.
Larry Foote ran by him again.
And Dan, this is a critical drive, don't you think, for the Titans after giving up that momentum in a 14-0
Well,
lead?
they've taken control of the game back offensively. Their third down conversions in this game so far, 6 for 6. And this drive, when Pittsburgh was hot, Pittsburgh had put their 10th point on the board. Now Tennessee has just denied them the football.
They had the Titans, almost a fall by McNair, but he gets the toss away to Holcomb, and Ferrier makes the tackle, and that'll be shy of a first down. So the slip by McNair costs the chance of that play being executed cleanly and denies the first down to the Titans. So another big play for Pittsburgh.
As so often happens, the quarterback gets stepped on by one of his offensive linemen. Pittsburgh wisely here has taken a timeout. Going to try to see if maybe this punt by Tennessee doesn't, maybe it's a shank, maybe they get some good field position, and he'd leave enough time on the clock, Bill Cowher would, to see if maybe offensively they can make something happen.
And Randall L at the other end. Craig Hendrick, he's got that knuckleball high kick that has been effective inside the 10-yard line. It's a wobbler, and Randall L handles it cleanly at the 18-yard line.
The old Steelers, this would have been automatic. Just hand the ball off, run out the clock, and trot into the locker room down by 4.
But this is the 2003 right. version, and they're 5 wide. Underneath as flags fly, a short completion.
If ever there was an indication of how much they've changed offensively in their philosophy, this is it right here.
And it's against the Titan defense with an automatic first down on the 5-yard penalty. And what started so beautifully for Jeff Fisher in
Legal
Tennessee.
hands to the face, number 30, defense, 5 yards. It's an automatic first down.
Has just flown to the opposite sidelines and received happily by the Steelers and Cowher. Donald Mitchell is ticketed on that call out to the 23. With Plexico Burris back in the locker room. They're down to the rookie Lee Mays as their 4th wide receiver underneath to Hines Ward. Ward terrific in the open field and has a first down at the 37 before he can be captured. And Maddox in the hurry up. And this is the offensive structure that worked so well against Cleveland last weekend. He's got Fuamatu Mafalo with him in the backfield. To the sidelines, incomplete, intended for the veteran Terrence Mathis.
So Pittsburgh offensive line has done a good job of providing Tommy Maddox with a pretty secure pocket. He's getting some good looks downfield. Hasn't been harassed much by Tennessee defensively. Big rookie working at right guard, and Kendall Simmons, and boy, does Bill Cowher love that guy. And a Pro Bowler at left guard, and Alan Faneca. So it's a pretty solid group.
On 2nd and 10 as the Titan fans try to help their defense. And Maddox goes long, has a man open. And interference will be called as Lee Mays, the rookie, was able to streak by Samari Roll. And Roll was forced to take a little grab of the jersey to slow him down.
Well, I don't know if Roll underestimated the burst that Mays has.
Pass interference, number
but
21,
they are
defense.
like hip to hip, and then all of a sudden, within about 3 yards, Mays separates. Watch how Mays just streaks by him, and you hate to say that's a smart play, but Samari Roll knows that's a touchdown. He has beaten me so badly that if he catches it, he's long gone.
35-yard penalty.
Yeah, he had no choice but to do that. That's how badly he was whipped.
And the Steelers with plenty of time. The throw incomplete, intended for Terrence Mathis, the veteran who is just 11 catches shy of 700 in his outstanding career. 51 seconds left in the half. 2nd down play from the 28. Direct snap to Hines Ward. And he scoots to the 17. And that'll be good enough for a first down, and the Steelers immediately spend their 2nd timeout. 43 seconds, a lifetime left for Cowher's team.
And as we look at all the things this Pittsburgh offense can do, you can't help but go back to our conversation with Bill Cowher when he said, I realized when I finished the season one time with the #1 defense in the league, the #1 running game in the league, and that wasn't good enough to win in the playoffs. And that's when I knew we had to change offensively. I had to find a way that if we're behind, we're still competitive. And boy, have they found it. This is a wonderful illustration. Getting the football inside the 2-minute warning, spreading the field, going 5 wide, and away they go.
Without one of your best receivers available.
That's right, without Plexico Burris.
Ball's at the 17.
I'm right here.
The comeback player of the year, and is he ever? Tommy Maddox. Trying to get the Steelers the lead before the half. Throws underneath to Hines Ward. Short yardage, tackled immediately by Donald Mitchell. And you can see the signal by Maddox that he wants to get them up to the line of scrimmage and down the ball to stop the clock. They have 1 timeout remaining. 27 seconds left.
That ball was behind Hines Ward as well, who made a good catch coming back to it. If Tommy misfires in his attempt to complete a pass, a lot of times that he's a little bit behind. We saw how badly he was behind Burris on the play where Burris was hurt. You look at this one right here. Ward can't catch this in stride. He's got to go back behind it and dig it out.
Big 3rd down and 5. And he's crushed on the blitz. Lance Schulters and Donald Mitchell, 2 defensive backs, converged on him.
Well, Mitchell is totally unblocked coming around the corner, but normally coming right at you, you'd think that Maddox would see him coming, but you could see that initially Tommy Maddox wanted to work the left side of the field, and by the time he snaps his head back to the right, Donald Mitchell is only 2 steps away from him. Yeah, he kept him because of the 4 kickers. Reed was the youngest. None of the 4 distinguished themselves. He said, oh, what the hell, keep this guy.
39-yard attempt. And the young guy skids another one through. 2 for 2, and he took paint with both of them.
Oh, boy. He got that right inside the out-of-bounds marker.
What a first half as Reed uses all of that space tenderly through the yellow, and it's 14-13 at the break. Not a bad half of football.
Yeah.
Even he was surprised. It didn't look like it wanted to hook. 14-13. Let's go to Bonnie.
Jeff Fisher, you had a 14-point lead. How frustrated are you that turnovers allowed Pittsburgh to get back in it?
I mean, you would expect them to be able to capitalize off the turnovers, especially with the first one where we gave them the ball, and that's the difference. You know, we played good the first quarter, didn't play good second quarter, and we're going to go regroup and come out.
You said you were worried about your players being over-anxious. Do you talk to them again at halftime about that?
No one's over-anxious right now. They know we're playing a real good football team, and, you know, we just got to play better. You know, we got to settle down, play, and, you know, they did a great job stopping that 3rd and 1 right there, and they picked points up off it. So we get that convert that 3rd down, you know, who knows what happens.
Coach, thank you.